We just did this last Shabbos, we did Parshas Shemini, and I think there's a very important message in Parshas Shemini. Parshas Shemini has the death of the Bnei Aaron, Nadav and Avihu, and there's a very, very important message that we can learn from this incident. Which I heard from Rabbi Zev Leff from Matisyahu. So he talks about, he has his take on this Parsha, on this whole incident, and I think it's a very, very important lesson to be learned from here. I want to preface with a joke that I heard many, many years ago, and I think it's one of the most important jokes that I've ever heard. There was a rabbi, an Orthodox rabbi and a Reform rabbi, and they're on the plane together. They happen to be placed one next to the other. They're sitting there together, Orthodox rabbi and the Reform rabbi. And as the plane takes off, so the Orthodox rabbi says Tfilas Haderech, and the Reform rabbi opens up his book of meditations and says his prayers, whatever they are. And then comes time for mincha. So the Orthodox rabbi, he goes and he says, he davens mincha out of a siddur, and the Reform rabbi opens up his prayer book and he says his meditations, whatever they do there. And then they brought the meal, and this wasn't Elal. This is just, it was TWA or something like that. So they brought the meal.
It's a cuddle brother. Yeah.
Cuddle brother. Pam Am. Same thing. So they brought the meal, and the Orthodox rabbi, he got his kosher meal, meal mart, and he's eating, got the meal mart, and the Reform rabbi, he got his meal, what everybody else got, and the Orthodox rabbi made his brachas, and the Reform rabbi, wow. And the Reform rabbi, he...
Don't put that on the film, I don't want my wife seeing that.
And the Reform rabbi says meditations.
You said about the meal and the food comes. And
Talk about meal mart.
Yeah.
So then afterwards, the Orthodox rabbi, he benches, and the Reform rabbi, again, he said his meditations, rub-a-dub-dub, thank for the grub, yay, So then they take away the meal, and the Orthodox rabbi is sitting there, and he opens up his Daf Yomi, and he starts learning, and the Reform rabbi opens up the newspaper, the New York Times, and he starts reading.
Starts learning.
Yeah. So then the Reform rabbi turns to the Orthodox rabbi, he says, "Rabbi, isn't this wonderful? Here we are, two men of the same faith, each worshiping God, each in his own way." So the Orthodox rabbi sort of lifts his eyes up and says, "Yes, you in your way, and I in his way."
Yes. Yeah.
What was the chet of Nadav and Avihu? What was the chet of Nadav and Avihu? You read the Parsha. We just finished it, Shemini. I hope you're awake during Kriyas HaTorah. Vayichu b'nei Aaron, Nadav and Avihu, ish machtosai. So Nadav and Avihu, each one took Eish, and they took an incense burner, a machtosai. They put Eish on it, and they put Ketairis, the incense, V'yakrivu lifnei Hashem Eish Zara, and they brought an Eish Zara, a strange and outside fire, into the Heichel, Asher Lod Sivoisam, which they were not commanded to do. But Teitze Eish, it says, this is the Chanuchas Hamishkan. Chanukas HaMizbeach, Chanukas HaMishkan. This is they were dedicating, sanctifying the Mishkan, and it says that an Eish in the previous, a couple of psukim before, an Eish came from Shemayim, and it consumed the oila. They brought an oila, korban oila, to dedicate the Mishkan. That same fire that came down to consume the oila, to consume the korban sibor, the dedication, which was the Chanukas HaMizbeach, Chanukas HaMishkan, it went out and it burned up. Nadav Avihu. What was their chet? Well, it's pretty obvious. They brought an Ezorah. The problem that we find, if we look in Chazal, is that Chazal find 7 or 8 Averis of Chatoyim, of sins, that Nadav Avihu did. We find in the Tanchuma, the Kli Yakar, it brings the Yalkut. The Kli Yakar brings the Yalkut. What was their chet? So one man, the Omer says they were shosu yayin, they were inebriated. I don't know if they're exactly drunk. You're not allowed to have any alcohol, any kind of tipsiness. You cannot be inebriated. You can't be a shosu yayin. Can't be any level of drunkenness before you do the avoda. That was their chet. They came in shosu yayin. Another man, the Omer says they didn't wash their hands and feet. And a kohen has to wash his hands and feet before he does the avoda. Another man, the Omer says they weren't wearing big day kahuna. They're wearing plain tunics. Another man, the Omer says they never got married. They were bochrim. Another man, the Omer says they didn't go to ask Moshe. Another man, the Omer says they didn't go to ask Aaron, their father. Go to your uncle. Go to your father. Ask them. Check it out. They didn't take advice what to do. Why are Chazal coming along and looking, trying to figure out what their Avera was? The Torah says specifically, they brought in a Zorah Lifnei Hashem Asher Lo Tziva Hashem. And here we have Chazal telling us 7 or 8 other Averas that they did wrong, which was the reason for the Chet.
What is Azor? What does that mean?
They weren't commanded to do this, and it was a foreign fire.
Oh, no.
It was the ketairos, the incense, but they weren't told to do this. This was not the normal incense, so they brought a foreign fire, a fire that they were not commanded to do. The ketairos is a fire which creates an incense smell, a reich nechayach l'Hashem, and they weren't commanded to do this. They added a Maisa Ketairis, which was not. Aaron was supposed to bring the Ketairis every day. The Kohen, there's Ketairis that a Kohen brings, and this was not one of the. This was not commanded by Hashem to bring. They decided on each on his own to bring this Ketairis. They didn't even take advice each from the other. It says they decided each one. They came to this conclusion on their own, each one without checking it out. They didn't have a discussion. They just decided to do it. And what's even very stranger is another Chazal. It says that the reason for their death had nothing to do with what happened here on the day of the dedication of Aleph Nisan, the dedication of the Mizbeach, of the Mishkan. It's from the time of Har Sinai. It says in Parshas Mishpatim, at the time of Har Sinai, that Moshe and Aaron and Nadav and Avihu and the Shiva Miziknei Yisrael, they went up to Har Sinai as far as they were allowed to go. They were told, go to here and no more. Kadosh Baruch Hu made certain gevulot. limits, fences, limits on how high they were allowed to go. So they went up. Vayiru, and then they had a prophetic vision. They had a prophecy. They were able to see Elokei Yisroel. They saw the Shekhinah. What that means? They saw a Shekhinah. They saw beneath the Shekhinah, but they saw the Shekhinah. Vayiru es Elokei Yisrael. V'tachas raglav kamasa livnas asapir. They saw a sapphire brick. Uke'etzem hashemayim letoah. We don't know what that means. That's some Shemayim Latoah, the pure Shemayim. That doesn't mean our Shemayim, the sky. They saw the Shemayim, the spiritual Shemayim. And they were Chayiv Misa for that. The El Atzile B'nei Yisrael Lo Sholach Yodoi. And to these, it's called Atzile Yisrael. The word Atzil, Atzilut. They're very high people. These were the best of the best. Ziknei Yisrael and Nadav Avihu we specified Nadav Avihu as Atzilei Yisrael. They were the best of Klal Yisrael. Lo Sholach Yodo. Kadosh Baruch Hu said, Yechayiv Misa, but I'm not going to do it now. I don't want to spoil Matan Torah. This is not the time to do it. The simcha of receiving the Torah, and if there's a tragedy, it's going to be terrible. It's going to be terrible. V'yechsu es Elokim v'yochlu v'yishtu. What was their avera? So then the pasuk says v'yechsu es Elokim. They had this prophetic vision. They saw Elokim. They saw what that you can't see. Lo yir Elokim v'chai. Kodesh Baruch Hu is told by Moshe Rabbeinu, you can't see me and still live. But they saw something, a very, very high vision that even Moshe Rabbeinu wasn't zeicha to. Vayochlu v'yishtu. What does it mean they yochlu v'yishtu? Vayochlu v'yishtu. They were eating. But they couldn't find a better time to pull out a sandwich and have a munch, you know? They're having a prophetic vision and they're munching the popcorn. What is yochlu v'yishtu? Drinking a Coke.
I get it right now, you know. It's not,
That's what we're doing right
I
now.
understand, you know.
I'll have to turn around the camera to show everything. Anyway, but they couldn't find a better time to yochel v'yishtu. So Rashi says, it's not that they actually ate. It was as if they ate. Rashi says, "V'yechzu es Elokim hoya mistaklim boy." They were looking at this vision, this prophetic vision. Mitoich belev gas. What's belev gas? Belev gas, lashon gasus. Hoya misgayim ba'atzma be'istaklos ka'odem aroya p'nei melech todir. They were chummy. This is the Rivah. The Rivah is one of the Rishonim. He says they were chummy. They were very, 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 very. It felt good, you know, very chummy with this vision. They felt comfortable with this vision, comfortable with the vision of seeing the Ribono Shel Olam. So this was an aveira. They should have had Ema V'yira. What do I mean by Ema V'yira? So I heard from my Rosh Hashiva Zatzal, Rav Sheinberg Zatzal, says when we daven, we say Hashem Sfosai Tiftach Ofi Agitz Tilasecha. We daven, the first phrase that we say before Shemona Esrei is we ask the Kodesh Baruch Hu, open my mouth, and then my mouth will see Hashem Sfosai Tiftach, open my mouth, open my lips, and my mouth will sing your praises. Why we have to? I'm about to say Baruch Atah Hashem. I have to ask the Kodesh Baruch Hu to open my mouth. I open my mouth the whole day. I mean, like, you know, I can't open my mouth, and now I have to ask the Kodesh Baruch Hu to open my mouth. So I was sitting once by Rav Sheinberg, and his house. He sat in his living room, and he had a little ante room. and I was in the anteroom. I don't remember exactly what it was, and a tourist comes in, and he wanted to, can I go in to see Rav Scheinberg? I said, sure. You know, I was chummy, sort of, so to speak, with Rav Scheinberg because, like, you know, I saw him every day, like, you know, many times a day. And but he came in, and he was, you know, a stranger. He didn't know exactly the protocol, and he wanted to, you know, get a bracha from Rav Scheinberg and want to ask him a question. And we started schmoozing a little bit. What's your shaila? It was a very simple shaila, and he wanted to go in kind of. So I waited for the person to go out, and then when the person went out, so I ushered him in. I brought him in because he was scared. So he went. He stood in front of Rav Scheinberg, and Rav Scheinberg sitting and learning, and nothing. I mean, like, you know, says, "Oh, how are you?" I said, "Yeah, yes. You have shaila?" He was petrified. He forgot what he wanted to ask. He couldn't get it out. You know, Rav Scheinberg had to coax him, you know, get it out, you know, speak a little bit. He's not used to being in the presence of the Gadol Hador. Here he is in front of the Gadol Hador.
It was probably a stupid question also.
Yeah. If you're standing in front of a Kodesh Baruch Hu about to daven Shemona Esrei, and Rav Scheinberg said there used to be Gedolim, Hasidim. I don't mean Hasidim. I mean real Hasidim. So Hasidim, like people who were very, very, very big tzaddikim, and they said Baruch Ato Hashem, and they thought of the word Hashem, Yud Hey Vav Hey, which is all of existence. Everything that exists, Hoya, Hova, V'yihiyah, the whole existence from the beginning until the end is HaKodesh Baruch Hu. And they would think about that word and they would faint from awe. There were people like that. We don't have them anymore. There were people like that. They couldn't get the words out to daven. So they had to say a little tefillah. So Chazal added a little tefillah before Shemona Esrei. Hashem svosai tiftach u'fiyah giti l'secha. Think about that the next time you say that, when you get to Mincha. And here they are, the Nadav Avihu, and they're looking at a prophetic vision, seeing the Shechina, and they should be fainting. And instead, they're chummy. Leiv gas. Oh yeah, whatever, you know. Yeah, sure. I mean, like, you know, that's mitoch achila v'shtiyah. It's as if they're eating and drinking. They're very comfortable and happy with this thing. And the Kodesh Baruch Hu looked at, you don't have the aim of a yira. That's a terrible affair, that you don't have the aim of a yira. That you, Atzilut B'nai Yisrael, you were zech in this prophetic vision, and that's how you react. They were chayiv misa. But the Kodesh Baruch Hu didn't want to ruin Matan Torah, and he waited until a more auspicious time. But the pasuk says it was because they brought in a Zara. Why are they mixing it? I understand. Lo sholach bo yodo. The pasuk is a little bit more mafurish than the other chazals. The 8 chazals, which are we don't know where they came from with the Shasa Yayin, and they didn't wear big day kahuna, but so it's very confusing. What's the real reason that they were killed? Then we have another chazal. It says wasn't even their avera. It was Aaron's avera. What was Aaron's avera? Aaron, at the time of the Egel, he saw that there was we're talking about this group, this mass hysteria. We're talking about before about mass hysteria. There was a mass hysteria about to make the Egel. Moshe is dead. He's not coming back. What's going to be? We have to make an Egel, and Hur tried to stop them.
But they really did see him die, though. I mean, they saw with their own eyes him die. Right?
Good. They had this vision from the Satan, that they saw his coffin flying.
The media. You know,
The media.
they were the New York Times, like the first guy, the reformer rabbi. You know.
Whatever it is, but there was a mass hysteria, and Hur tried to stop him. Hur was Miriam's son. He tried to stop them, and they murdered him. And here he is, Aaron, he saw his nephew get murdered, and they came to him, no, you, Aaron, do something. So he told him to take the jewelry, and he's going to throw it in the fire. So he, Ke'ilu, made the egel. He didn't make the egel. They're the two sorcerers. There are two sorcerers from Paro that they came, and when he threw all the jewelry into the fire, so they did their abracadabra, and the egel came out. But Aaron had a part in this because he told them what to do. He built the fire and told them to get the jewelry, throw all the gold in. Then he tried to push them off. So he tried to push them off. He says, tomorrow, right? He was trying to buy time. The Kodesh Baruch Hu, something's got to happen. He didn't know what it was going to be, so he tried to buy time. That was considered a chet for Aaron. That was his chet. That was the chet that because of this chet, he had to die eventually with Moshe Rabbeinu.
So
for hitting the rock.
What should he have done then? What was the proper course of action?
It's hard for me to say, but to help Avodah Zorah, to be a part in Avodah Zorah, have your hand in as a part of Avodah Zorah, what he should have done. But Chazal criticized him. You don't have a part in Avodah Zorah. How he should have acted, I can't answer you. It was Pekuach Nefesh because they already saw that they killed his nephew. But on the other hand, this is Avodah Zorah is one of the Gimel Averis.
It's possible that was the right thing to do. It's just that he was involved. So yeah.
He just says
many
if
ways,
they would have killed him.
I'm not, many ways to look at it. Maybe it's the right thing to do, but even sometimes you do the right thing, it's the wrong thing. There is such a concept, but on his Madrega it was considered the wrong thing. Maybe he should have been Moser Nefesh, but he was afraid if they would kill him, then they never would have a kapora. That's what it said. If they would have killed him, they killed a Kohen Gadol. You kill a Kohen Gadol, there's no kapora for you, because the Kohen Gadol is the kapora of Klai Yisrael. Kids, I can't answer you what he should have done, but Chazal tell us that it was an Aveira. Why are you looking for another Aveira? And it wasn't even Nadav and Avihu's Aveiras, their father's Aveira. And since when do children die because of the Aveira of their father? Especially grown children. We know that doesn't happen. Lo yamusu bonam al chetovas. It's all very, very, very strange. Everything that's happening, all these questions. The Kli Yakar, he asked the Kasha. All these Kashas are in the Kli Yakar. You look in the Kli Yakar, he's got his take on it. So this is not a new question. But Rav Zev Lev, he wanted to use a Netziv to answer this up, which is a very, very important Yesoid of Yiddishkeit. The Netziv at the beginning of this Parsha, we find a very, very strange pasuk. Vayhi bayom hashmini, and Kodesh Baruch Hu called out Moshe and Aaron, Moshe Aaron Abalav, Ziknei Yisrael, and he said to Aaron, take yourself. He told him what to do. You take an egel for a chatis and an ayel la'oila, and bring a korban in front of Hashem. Take Siri Izim. You have all these different korbanos that you have to do for the Yom Hashmini, for the Chanukas HaMizbeach, for the Chanukas of the Mishkan. Shor v'ayel l'shlomim l'zboyach l'fnei Hashem. Ki hayom Hashem nir aleichem. Hashem's going to see you, appear to you. You're going to see the Shechina. The Shechina is going to appear to you. Vayichu es asher tziva Moshe al pnei ha'mayoi. Vayikru they did everything. Vayikru kol ha'edu v'yamdu l'fnei Hashem, and they're standing there waiting. Vayomer Moshe zeh hadavar asher tziva Hashem tasu v'yera aleichem kavod Hashem. This is the thing that Hashem has commanded. Do this, and then Hashem, the Shechina, will appear to you. What he just told them what to do. He just told them what to do. And then he doesn't explain what is he telling them to do now. This is the thing, this is our davar that you have to do, and Hashem will appear to you. And then he goes on, and then he tells them to continue doing the korbanos, but he doesn't explain what's the zeh hadavar. Zok the Netziv. Moshe said, Klal Yisrael, take away your Yetzer Hara. You have a Yetzer Hara. If you want Hashem to appear to you, you have to take away, be mavir from your heart the Yetzer Hara. Which Yetzer Hara? Doesn't explain. This is the Medrash's Toras Kahanim. The Toras Kahanim does not specify which Yetzer Hara do they have to get rid of. You have to all be united together in one avoda to be misharis the Kodesh Baruch Hu. Just like Hashem is yichidi, your avoda should be miyuchedis lefonov. That's what Toras Kahanim says. When you do the avoda, it has to be totally l'shem shemayim, totally for HaKodesh Baruch Hu. Miyuchedis, just like Kodesh Baruch Hu is miyuched, he's one, so you have to be one with the Kodesh Baruch Hu. What does that mean? And then if you do that, you get rid of that Yetzer Hara, not to be one, then a Kodesh Baruch Hu will appear to you. It's not clear. What does it mean? So the Netziv says that at the time of Moshe Rabbeinu, there were many, many groups. Klal Yisrael were very, very great people. And throughout our history, we've been very great people. And many times, a Yid has a deep desire. He's got Avas Hashem. He wants holiness. He wants spirituality. He wants to get close to Hashem. Oh, if I can only be better. And there comes a time, there are times in tekufas in our lives when we want to get close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We're spiritual people. And that's a very dangerous thing. Dangerous? It's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing. But it's a dangerous thing. These people that want to get close to Hashem, if they don't do it right, it's dangerous. Because you can't get close to Hashem your way. You have to get close to Hashem His way. And that's the rule that we learn out from the Mishkan. Just like that joke I told you about the Reform rabbi and the Orthodox rabbi. You can't get close to Hashem your way. You have to get close to Hashem His way. And this is exactly what happened many, many times throughout our history. We find by Kairach. What was Kairach? He got 250 Roshi Sanhedrin. Roshi Sanhedrin, these are, Sanhedrin with the spitz of the spitz, the greatest of the greatest. Roshi Sanhedrin. These are the holy people, Kol Torah Kula. And he got them to bring a Ketairis Zora, Lifnei Hashem, just like Nadav and Avihu. They didn't learn their lesson. They brought a Ketairis Zora, Lifnei Hashem. What happened? These are people, and this is what Kairach, he rates everybody on. He created a mass hysteria. That's what Kairach wanted to do. Why only Moshe Rabbeinu is Kaddish? Only Aaron and the Kohanim are Kaddish? Everybody's Kaddish. Everybody's holy, and everybody can work in the Beis Hamikdash, and everybody can come close to Hashem. Come on, guys, let's go. 250 Rosh Sanhedrin fell for it. And because of their desire to become close to Hashem, they're willing. They put on their tunics, and they made incense burners, and they're ready to go. And they put on the fire, and they brought the incense, and exactly the same thing happened. A fire went out from Hashem to burn up the incense on Aaron's incense burner, and it burned all of them up, just like Nadav and Avihu. In Yiddishkeit, the idea of Yiddishkeit is kirva. Korban means kirva, means coming close. Korban is the way you come close. And the way you come close is through a korban. How does a korban make me close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? HaKadosh Baruch Hu creates the framework. You have an emotion. You have a desire. Don't get impulsive and do it your way. You have to follow the framework and do it His way. You want to get close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, do it His way. We have in Parshas Pekudi, they were building all the utensils for the Mishkan, and it goes into a whole. It's Mamish repeats it over. We had it in Truma, we had it in Tetzava, we had it in Vayakel, and again it's listing everything again what they made, but it adds something. Look in Parshas Pekudei. Kasher Tziva Hashem es Moshe. They made the Big Day Kahuna. Kasher Tziva Hashem es Moshe. They made the Kiyor. Kasher Tziva Hashem es Moshe. They made the Mizbeach. Kasher Tziva Hashem es Moshe. They made the Mizbeach HaKatayres. Kasher Tziva Hashem es Moshe. They made the Shulchan. Kasher Tziva Hashem es Moshe. They made all the curtains and all the poles for the Mishkan. Kasher Tziva Hashem es Moshe. 18 times it says Kasher Tziva Hashem es Moshe. Zog Baruch Mordechai, Ezrachi. He's got a whole mimer on this. There's a Yetzer Hara in a person. Yetzer Hara in a person. Imagine Michelangelo or Rembrandt, and they hire him, they contract him to decorate the Beis HaMikdash HaShlishi, somebody of that stature, and he goes in, and he's going to like they have in the old city, the Bar Yochai Shul, the Churba Shul, beautiful painting on the ceiling, a beautiful painting on the ceiling, or the Chagall windows in Hadassah. It's my expression, and I want to express my religious feelings, and therefore I'm going to paint a magnificent painting on the ceiling of the Beis HaMikdash. It's very nice, but that's not Yiddishkeit. Maybe that's Christianity. Maybe that's Muslims. And that's the problem with the whole world. All the religions of the world, if they want to get close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, their way.
It's a song.
Their way.
It's a song. I did it my way.
Yeah.
That's an answer. I did it my way.
That's what they want to do. They want to do it their way. But that's not what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants. He wants you to do it His way. And He has specific instructions. When you make the menorah, exactly how many cups, how many flowers, how many little studs on it, exactly how it's made. The artisan who's making it, he's so carried away in making the menorah, he just wants to add a little. Can you imagine a symphony? I don't know if you're into symphonies, but the Beethoven's Fifth, or some magnificent symphony, right? And the guy on the flute, and he wants to add a little trill at the end, right in the middle. He does. The conductor would shecht him. You ruined it. It's not in the score. You can't add your little, on your own. But it sounds so nice. It fits. Doesn't matter whether it fits or doesn't fit. It's not in the score. When you're in a symphony, you got to read the score exactly as it is. Slow down when it tells you to slow down. Speed up when it tells you to speed up. Get soft when it tells you to get soft. And get loud when it tells you to get loud. And that's how in a symphony, everybody has to be coordinated. The whole world is a symphony of a Kodesh Baruch Hu. And the Torah, that's the Torah, Matan Torah, is the symphony of a Kodesh Baruch Hu. It's his architectural design of how the world works. And it's magnificent, of trillions and trillions of parts. And each mitzvah fits in exactly. And it's like a human body. If it gets unbalanced in any little way, it doesn't work. That's why when you do a mitzvah, not only do you get schar, avada, when you do a mitzvah, you get schar. When you don't do a mitzvah, you get an einish. There's more than that. You have done a tikkun in the world. The world needs your tikkun. The mitzvahs are your tikkun. If you do it right, why is that right? HaKadosh Baruch Hu understands. He made the human body. He's the great composer, the screenwriter, the script writer, and he knows exactly how it fits in your body. If 1/100th of a milligram you're off in a certain hormone, you're sick. Everything has to be in a perfect balance in order for the body to function perfectly. And the same thing in the universe. But in order for the universe to function perfectly, so Klal Yisrael has to do the Torah perfectly, the way a Kodesh Baruch Hu designed it, because he understands, he's the designer, he understands it. And this was the Chet of the Egel. This was the Chet of the Egel. Moshe Rabbeinu is gone. Now we'll understand why this was a kapara for the Chet of the Egel. What was the Chet of the Egel? Moshe Rabbeinu was gone. And Klal Yisrael had this desire to be close to Kodesh Baruch Hu, and they lost their intermediary. So they wanted to create a receptor, some sort of receiving unit, like a radio receiver, to receive the presence of the Shekhinah, that the radiance of the Shekhinah should come down and be concentrated on this thing, this Egel. And that way they can connect to a Kodesh Baruch Hu. They can't connect directly to Kodesh Baruch Hu, who can see a Kodesh Baruch Hu and live. So they need an intermediary. And they decided that this is going to be the way they're going to connect to Kodesh Baruch Hu. It's a wonderful feeling. And it's a praiseworthy feeling that they wanted to connect, to get close to Kodesh Baruch Hu, but they made a tragic error. You can't do it your way. You have to do it his way. Ask him. David. Kodesh Baruch Hu, we don't have Moshe Rabbeinu anymore. Send us an intermediary. We want to get close to you. We can't do it ourselves. But don't make up your own ideas. And this was the chet of the Mishkan, of the Egel Azov. And the Mishkan was the tikkun of the chet of the Egel. How was the Mishkan the tikkun of the chet of the Egel? Because everything had to be Kasher Tziva Hashem Es Moshe. 18 times it says Kasher Tziva Hashem Es Moshe. By following orders, doing it exactly the way of Moshe Rabbeinu, where Kodesh Baruch Hu told you to build the Mishkan, you are connecting Kodesh Baruch Hu his way. And that was the chet. To learn how to... It's wonderful to have emotion. It's wonderful to have emotion. But you can't create the framework. You have to follow the framework of the Torah. In anything you do, you have to follow the framework of the Torah. You have to follow the halacha. And within the structure, the framework of that framework that the Torah has laid out for you, then imbue it with your emotion. There's plenty of room for your own individuality all over the Torah. As we see so many different attitudes and people with different types of ways of expressing their closeness to Kodesh Baruch Hu, whether it's in greatness in Torah, greatness in chazonis, in singing, in feeling devekes to Kodesh Baruch Hu. But everything has to be within the framework of Torah. You can't be Mechal Shabbos in order to get my feeling for a Kodesh Baruch Hu. And that was the chet of Nadav and Avihu. They weren't careful about shishlo yayin, about being slightly drunk. It was impulsive. That's the word. It was impulsive. Their feelings for spirituality was impulsive, and therefore they just did it without even thinking. They had just finished drinking some wine at lunch, whatever it was, and they were slightly tipsy. You have to wait till it wears off. You can't do it right now. And they ran in. Now we're having a spiritual, emotional episode, and I have to chop it right now. And they ran in. No, you can't do that. You can't do that. Below rechitzas yadayim v'raglayim. It doesn't make sense. Rechitzas yadayim v'raglayim. They just went to the mikveh. What could be better than washing your hands from a faucet? Is better than a mikveh? How could that be? They went to the mikveh. They toiveled 7 times. With all the shem yichud and like all the kavanas that are in the mikveh, and then they go in and then go to the faucet and wash your hands and feet. What? The faucet's fine. I went to the mikveh. Kodesh Baruch Hu says a kohen is not allowed to do the avodah until he goes to the kior and he washes his hands and feet. Don't you decide what you're going to do. You do it his way. They're mechusar begadim. They didn't have time to put on. Well, this is not one of the proscribed avodas. When we do the avodah that's prescribed, so then we have to wear the big day kahuna. But this is not one of the. So we'll continue wearing our tunics. They were mechusar begadim. You're a kohen. If you're mechusar begadim, so you're izar. You're not a kohen anymore. What's a kohen doing? Offering anything in the base of a zar, offering anything in the base of Mikdash. They didn't have children. They didn't get married. They had a reason. They said, "Look, our uncle, he was the head of Klal Yisrael. He got married, but he neglected his wife and he neglected his children. His children suffered. We know from history that the children of Moshe Rabbeinu, they suffered because they didn't have, their father was so busy with Klal Yisrael, the burden, the yoke of Klal Yisrael, he had no time for his children. And Aaron was a wonderful person. He had a heart. And he gave his children a lot of time and a lot of attention. And because of that, even though he was Kohen Gadol, and he was also one of the heads of Klal Yisrael, but Klal Yisrael suffered. They didn't have the attention of Aaron and Kohen because he was busy with the children, raising his children. And this is a problem that great people have. Do you abandon your children, your family, become great and concentrate on Klal Yisrael? Or you concentrate on your children and abandon Klal Yisrael? They said, well, we're not going to get married because we're doomed. Either we'll abandon our children or we'll abandon Klal Yisrael. We're going to become great. We're going to become leaders of Klal Yisrael. Therefore, we can't get married. What's it your business? There's a mitzvah to get married, you get married. Famous Gemara in Brachas. Chizkiyahu Melech, he was roy to be Mashiach. Chizkiyahu Melech. And Yeshaya Navi comes to him and says, you're going to die, write your will. Say Vidur, you're going to die. Why? Because you didn't get married. I had a prophecy that my son is going to be a wicked person in Russia, and he was, Menashe. He was a choite and machdi as a rabbin. Terrible. Menashe. Zokt Yeshaya Navi. Bahadi kivshi de Rachman Olam Alach. You understand why? What do you, Kodesh Baruch decided you're going to have a Russia as a son. That's not your business. What you were commanded, you're mechuyev to do. Torah says, get married. He's going to do whatever he feels he's decided to do. It's none of your business. Kodesh Baruch said, get married, get married. Nadav Avihu, get married. You have a cheshbon, you follow the rules. And the same thing with Aaron, and the fact that this is the chet for Aaron. How is it the chet for Aaron? Because not that they died because of the chet for Aaron. They were chayav nisa because of this avera. Now Aaron was a kaddish. He was a tzaddik. The schus of the tzaddik should have saved them. But the problem is that he also had a stickle blemish of this. It says it's one of the big three. Avodah Zorah is one of the big three. What are you doing? Helping out Avodah Zorah, building an Avodah Zorah, taking a part in Avodah Zorah. You have no right to do it. Are you at a cheshbon? There's a Kadosh Baruch Hu running the world. He knows what he's doing. If there's going to be a problem. There's going to be a problem. He'll take care of it. Kadosh Baruch Hu will take care of it. You do what you have to do, and the Kadosh Baruch Hu will do what he has to do. Don't you decide what you have to do. Good cheshbon or not good cheshbon. But if it goes outside of the framework of that Kadosh Baruch Hu dictated for us, so this Mahalach answers up. This is the Yetzer Hara. This is the Yetzer Hara that Klal Yisrael has had since their inception. They have a desire to get close, a desire to get close to the Kadosh Baruch Hu, a desire to find spirituality, and they do things out of a gut feeling. They do things impulsively, and it causes havoc. And this was the chet. This is what the Mishkan was supposed to correct. Oh, and why? And Kadosh Baruch Hu couldn't find a better time to kill Nadav and Avihu. He didn't want to kill them at Har Sinai because they got too chummy. They didn't have the proper awe in front of the prophetic vision. So he didn't want to spoil Matan Torah. So you spoiled the dedication of the Mishkan. You're right, it's a terrible thing to spoil the dedication of the Mishkan. It was a very joyous occasion, the dedication of the Mishkan. But it was against the whole purpose of the Mishkan. Against the Torah, Klal Yisrael has to receive the Torah. But the purpose of the Mishkan was to get the lesson across, Kasher Tziva Hashem es Moshe. You didn't do a Kasher Tziva Hashem es Moshe. You brought an Eish Zorah. What's an Eish Zorah? A Zar. It wasn't an Eish that they were commanded. Asher lo tziva Hashem. That was the vort. Whenever it's lo tziva Hashem, it's an Eish Zorah, and therefore they had a to show the people the severity of this lesson. So they had to be killed specifically at this time for this avera, which was the aside of the Yetzer Hara that Klal Yisrael has until today. And you find throughout our history that this Yetzer Hara has wreaked havoc. The Reform movement, the conservative movement, the people meant well. They wanted to find spirituality. They didn't malamed them, it's kafskus but to a certain extent, these are people looking for spirituality. And what they do? They created they took the symphony and they altered it. It's not Beethoven's Fifth anymore. They took Yiddishkeit, and it's not Yiddishkeit anymore. No, but it looks like Yiddishkeit. Maybe it's got the trappings of Yiddishkeit, but it's not Yiddishkeit, because Yiddishkeit is Kasher Tziva Hashem es Moshe. Look at the women of the wall. Oh, I want to get close to Hashem, and I can only do it at the Kaisel. And they're not letting me go to the Kaisel, and they're not letting me, I want to wear tefillin, because men are wearing tefillin, and I'm wearing talis, and I want to sing Hallel, and I want to read a Sefer Torah, and if they can get called up to the Sefer Torah, Bas Mitzvah, she wants to get called up, her brother got called up to the Sefer Torah, she wants to get called up to the Sefer Torah, Bas Mitzvah, all these. It's wonderful that you have this desire for spirituality.
That'll do a burst first.
Yeah, they I've been at a Brita. It's just a Suda, that's all it is. Right? Sholem Nekeva, So they're jealous. if it's Stam a party, so Rav Moshe's got Shuvas on if it's Stam a party, but not in shul. Don't do it in shul. Don't have a bas mitzvah in shul. You want to have it in the simcha room, good, but not in the shul. This is not an official ceremony, right? And these things are dangerous. Look at the women of the wall. They mean well. And they don't understand, why are we stopping them from praying to, I want to feel. Kashet Siva Hashem Es Moshe. That's our problem until today. And we have to make sure that we do everything Kashet Siva Hashem Es Moshe. And don't alter it one iota. Like the rabbi said to the Reform rabbi, yes, each one in his own way. You in your way, and I in his way.